Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Davila. Welcome back to Save Our System IT. Today we'll continue with part number 12 of our Busybox series. The ls command is one of the most frequently used commands in Linux. I believe the ls command is the first command you may use when you first get into the command prompt of a Linux box. ls with no options lists the files and directories in bare format where we won't be able to view details like file types, sizes, modification dates and times, permissions and links. Another commonly used command is ls with the -l option, which shows us the files and directories, but it also shows us all the details we just listed. lsmod shows or lists the status of modules in the Linux kernel. Linux kernel modules are pieces of code which can be loaded into the kernel much like a hot swappable piece of hardware. They can be inserted into the kernel and activated without the system needing to be rebooted. lsmod is a very simple program with no options. It nicely formats the contents of a file, the /proc/modules file, which contains information about the status of all currently loaded LKMs. lzcat is still a cat type command to print out to standard out the contents of a file that was compressed with the lzma and exe programs. The lzma utility is used to compress and decompress files in the terminal. It has a similar syntax to gzip and bzip2 and also similar options. -d for decompression, -c for concatenating compressed files as content to standard out, and -f to force it in case the format is unrecognized or the compressed file has issues. If we use the lzma command without any options and we offer it just the file name as an argument, the file will be replaced by the same compressed file with a .lzma extension. lzop is a file compressor, very similar to gzip. lzop favors speed over compression ratio. lzop reduces the size of the name files. Whenever possible, each file is compressed with into one with the extension .lzo, while keeping the same ownership modes and access and modification times. If no files are specified or if a file name is a hyphen, lzop tries to compress the standard input to the standard output. lzop will only attempt to compress regular files or symbolic links to a regular file. In particular, it will ignore directories. If the compressed file name is too long for its file system, lzop truncates it. Compressed files can be restored to their original form using lzop-d. lzop-d takes a list of files on its command line and decompresses each file whose name ends with .lzo, and which begins with the correct magic number to an uncompressed file without the original extension. lzop-d also recognizes the special extension .tzio and as a shorthand for .tar.lzo. When compressing, lzop uses the .tzio extension if necessary instead of truncating a file with a .tar extension. lzop stores the original file name, mode and timestamp in the compressed file. This can be used when decompressing the file with the -d option. This is useful when the compressed file name was truncated or when the timestamp was not preserved after file transfer. lzop preserved the ownership, mode and timestamp of files when compressing. When decompressing, lzop restores the mode and timestamp if present in the compressed file. lzop uses the lzo data compression library for compression services. The amount of compression obtained depends on the size of the input and the distribution of common substrings. Typically, text such as source code or English is compressed into a 40–50% of the original size, and large files usually compress much better than small ones. Compression and decompression speed is generally much faster than that achieved by gzip, but compression ratio is worse. lzop offers the following compression levels of the lzo1x algorithm. 3 is the default level and offers pretty fast compression. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 are currently all equivalent. This may change in a future release. 1 is fast and can be even a little bit faster in some cases, but most times you won't notice the difference. 7, 8 and 9 are the best compression types. These compression levels are mainly intended for generating pre-compressed data. Especially 9 can be somewhat slow. But decompression is very fast for all compression levels, and decompression speed is not affected by the compression level. If no other command is given, then lzop defaults to compression using compression level 3. The lzopcat command again concatenates the compressed files as content and prints out to standard output to be viewed in the terminal. lzopcat is the cat command for files compressed using the lzop program. What is an md5sum? md5 stands for Message Digest Algorithm 5 and it's a 128-bit checksum which will be unique for the same data provided. Use the md5sum command to calculate and cross-check the md5sum. Two non-identical files will never have the same md5sum. Typically, md5sum is used to cross-verify the integrity of a file after downloading it from a website or for storing passwords in an encrypted way. mdev is a lightweight alternative to udev for usage in embedded devices. Both handle the creation of device files in /dev and starting of actions when certain events happen. mdev has two primary uses, initial population and dynamic updates. Both require sysfs support in the kernel and have it mounted as /sys. For dynamic updates, you also need to have hot plugging enabled in your kernel. The simple explanation here is that you need to have /sys mounted before executing mdev. Then you instruct the kernel to execute /sbin/mdev whenever a device is added or removed, so that a device node can be created or destroyed. Then you seed /dev with all the device nodes that were created while the system was booting. For the full setup, you want to make sure /dev is a tmpfs file system, assuming you're running out of flash. Then you want to create the /dev/pts mount point and finally mount the dev/pts file system on it. And that's about it for today. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Any questions you might have are to be left down in the comment section or on our website www.sosit.co. Again, that's www.sosit.co. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.